This is Kukwa and thank you for staying tuned. Last time on Count Your Blessing, we talked about the benefits of failure and we learned that failure, although very unpleasant, but it has valuable lessons that when we incorporate into our lives, we are able to become better people. It shapes us and makes us better. We also learned that the reasons why we fail in life is because one, we ignore or we disobey rules and principles that govern systems and structures. We also fail in life because it's our trial season. Today we are going to talk about the valley of the shadow of death. Today we are talking about trials and afflictions. Christianity, like we know, is difficult. Christianity has its ups and downs. We have trial times. God cannot use somebody whom He hasn't tried. Even when we go to school, we go through examination period to know that we have understood what we have been taught. It's same with Christianity. God will try you. God will take you through afflictions so that you can be pruned and become a better person. Jesus told his disciples in Matthew 16, verses 24, that if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. He also said in Matthew 10, verses 24, that a servant is not greater than his master. Trials are difficult seasons, and even Jesus, when he was about to go through his trial, he went to Gethsemane and prayed, and he told God that if it be that the cup will pass over him, but glory to God that he asked God that his will be done, and God gave him the grace to go through the course, and because of that, we are all able to become Christians. Now, these are some of the few reasons why we go through trials. Number one, we go through trials to prove our God. An example is Daniel in the lion's den. So, Daniel, the whole Israel went into captivity, and Daniel became like one of the rulers in the land. The king loved Daniel because Daniel was doing his work very well, and that created a kind of hatred for him. And so his enemies plotted, and then they went to the king to tell the king to sign a rule that nobody should pray to any god. And of course, Daniel wasn't going to bow to that decree. He still went on his knees and prayed. And because his enemies knew that he will fall into their trap, they were watching him. And then they went to tell the king that, oh, king, somebody has disobeyed your rule. And that caused Daniel to be punished. Appropriately, if anybody enters a lion's den, the person is expected not to live again. But because Daniel stood the trial of his faith and didn't obey the king, but obeyed the God he served, he was able to prove that his God is able to take care of him. And truly, God was able to take care of him and preserved his life and prevented the lions from devouring Daniel. And the whole region got to know that indeed Daniel's God was worth serving. We also look at another example, and we have three Hebrews guys we called Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. In Nebuchadnezzar's time, he decided to build a god and asked all his nation to serve that god. And this Hebrew guy stood and said, we are not going to serve this god because we already have our God that we serve, and he is able to deliver us even if you punish us. And what is most striking about this Hebrew guys is that they said even if their God is not able to deliver them, they would rather perish than obey Nebuchadnezzar. And of course, their God came true for them. God was able to deliver them from their fiery furnace. And it's brought a big realization to Nebuchadnezzar and the whole community that their God is worth serving. So one, trials makes us know who your God is. If you are always living a rosy life, how will we know that your God is able to save you? We won't know. So trials and affliction brings the ability of your God to bear. Number two, we go through trials to prove that we love and we are committed to God. And that is what the Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego did. They told Nebuchadnezzar that even if their God wasn't able to save them, they would rather perish. And this shows the commitment that they have towards their God. Do you love God just because He's providing you with husbands, with children, with money, and everything is well for you? Or would you still be with God even in your trial times? Would you still be with God when everything fails for you? Would you still be with God when you are sick and you are dying and you are praying to God that He will heal you and He doesn't heal you? Are you going to deny God because you need healing and He didn't give it to you? Or you are still going to be with God even when you die? Are you still with God because He's always providing money for you? Or you are going to be with God even in your poverty? Are you with God because He is God, or you are with Him because of what you can get from Him? So trials brings bare our intentions in our relationship with God. Number three, trial produces godly fruit in our lives. The main objective of our Christian life is that we become like Christ. And trials is like a farmer who prunes his crops. Pruning is difficult. You have to cut some parts of the plants, but in doing so, you allow the plants to grow. So, trials is our pruning time. It takes the character that is not helping us, our impatience, our anger, and all the bad things that we need to get rid of, and it develops us into true Christians. James 1 verses 2 to 3 says that, "Count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, knowing that the trials of your faith produces patience." And so trials helps us develop godly fruit. Also, trials and afflictions delivers us from pride. And Paul said that, Paul was Paul the apostle. He was doing mighty and great works. And then in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 7, he says that there was a thorn in his flesh. And it makes us know that no matter who you are as a Christian, there must be something that will humble you, that will make you know that you are still a child of God. Trials makes us know that we are not superhumans. We are still human beings who we are still human beings who work and do a lot of things because of God's grace. It is not our strength, it's not our might, but it's just because of God's grace. And so afflictions and trials brings the humanness in us, and then it helps us to come out of pride. Also, trials and afflictions makes us sympathetic and merciful, and we become slow in judging others, because sometimes when everything is rosy for you, you don't understand when people are struggling. You don't understand when people have luck or are in some situation. But there are situations that will come your way that will humble you, so that next time when you see somebody in that a similar situation, well, this is possible. Trials and afflictions, they humble us and they makes us better people. Afflictions also stir us into prayer. When everything is rosy, we really don't have time to pray. Oh, the businesses are going on, you have family, you have kids, and every time that you are supposed to be in your closet praying, you think that you have something else doing. But when trials strike, nobody will tell you to go on your knees to pray. So trials brings us closer to God. It makes us dependent on God. It makes us know that we are humans and that it is God who can ultimately do anything for us. Afflictions also makes us thankful, because when you have gone through a situation and you have come to the end of the road, and then waymaker makes a way for you, obviously you end up appreciating the goodness of God. Sometimes when everything is smooth for us, we don't see the God factor in it until some things go off, and then we lean on God, and when he makes a way, we know that this one, it can only be God. Affliction also manifests the faithfulness and the sovereignty of God to his children. So, if you don't go through affliction, you will never know how faithful your God can be. For example, after Abraham has been childless for more than 30 years, after many, many promises, after Isaac was born, he truly got to know that God was indeed faithful. And he was so convinced that God was still able to raise Isaac back to life. And he didn't hesitate when God asked him to sacrifice Isaac. So it makes us know that God is indeed faithful. We can go on and on and on, but I want you to reflect on these few things. Next time when you are going through challenging times as a Christian, know that it is not to break you down, but to make you a better person, to make you know that your God is faithful, and he who has promised you, he will surely deliver to his promise. God bless you and have a fruitful day. Thank you for watching. Bye.